Hello and welcome to a Destiny 14.5 tutorial. I'm Cindy Henderson and I am the Media Specialist at Midland Middle School in Columbus, Georgia. Today we will be looking at the Circulation tab and different tools that you will find located under this tab. I will begin by logging in to Destiny using my Media Specialist credentials. By using my login, I have access to confidential information. Due to my rights to this important information, we will want to create a safe login for students, parents, and volunteers to use to check in and check out materials. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually click on Back Office. And when we are in Back Office, we have to set up the access level before we give anyone access to certain components of Destiny. So over on the left hand side, we're going to click on Access Levels, and now we are going to add an access level. So down at the very bottom, you want to click on Add Access Levels, and for this I'm going to call it, because we are the home of the Jaguar, so I'm going to call it Jaguar Patron. Okay, so I'm just going to click it, and what I want this patron to be able to do, the access level, for the most part, I want it to stay set as a student, but I want them to, over here under Library Circulation Access, I want whenever anybody logs in with the access to the Jaguar Patron, they're only going to be able to check out library materials, check in library materials, and my middle school students a lot of times will read large books like Harry Potter that will take them longer than 2 weeks. So I want to give them access to renew some of their library materials. And so once we've selected these 3 items, we come right up here and click on Save. And you'll notice now it has Jaguar Patron in our list of access levels. So we have one more step to do. We want to go up and Manage Patrons. And I'm going to add a new patron, and I'm just going to name this patron. If we go right over here, we want to click on Add New Patron, and the last name is going to be Midland, and the district ID excuse me, is going to be Midland, and let's go ahead and name it Midland 5. Okay. I know you have to have a username so that the person can actually log into Destiny. So we're going to name it, I want to keep it as simple as I can. I'm going to name it Midland. And then the password is also going to be Midland. This way I can share this with either a student, I can share it with a substitute, a parent, a volunteer, and I know they're not going to have access to everything in Destiny, but they will still be able to check in and check out books. Now this is very important. Down at the very bottom it says site information. You do have to, it's required to have a barcode, and I usually just do assign next barcode. And here we go, right down here where it says access level, we want to actually click on our Jaguar Patron, and that way now they are able to check in, check out, and to renew their books. So we want to click on Save, and it says Patron added with barcode. You can always print this out, have this written down, but to me it's just always easier to have the username and the password. So I always like at the very end, before I put anything out for a teacher or a student to use, I like to check and make sure it works. So in this step I always just go ahead and log out, and then I log in as the patron. This works with every program out there. You always want to look and see what it looks like for the student. So I'm going to log in, and here's an assessment time. Who remembers what the username is? And if you guessed Midland, you were correct. And what is the password that we said? Midland again. Keep it simple. And we want to click on log in, and you will now notice over here on the left hand side, this person only has access to check out, check in, and renew. And so this way we keep that confidential information safe. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of this account. And let's go ahead and have another assessment. Let's see. What is the first step in creating a check-in and check-out level? If you said go to the back office and then click on access levels, you were correct. All right, let's do one more. How do you know your account is set up correctly? Okay, and this was just my little extra tip. If you said log in as the new Jaguar patron, then you're correct. Now let's look at changing the date and time for students that need extended loans for special projects. First off, we're going to click again on back office, and over on the left hand side we are going to click on library policies. The top portion of this page is for the faculty, and we also here at Midland have a Helen Ruffin Reading Bowl team that we have special policies for. But today we're just going to focus on student. And notice that the default is set for, at my school, 5, and the maximum holds is for 5. And the reason for this is because of some of my students have special needs, and when they come in, instead of checking in their books, they drop them in the book drop. And later on, when I have time, I will then check those books in. So sometimes they may have 4 or 5 books checked out to them. Okay, and my days for overnight or just the regular days checked out is set to 14. Now, if I wanted to change any of this, all I would have to do is go right over here to the right and click on the pencil. And notice that I'm under student is my patron type, and I have my maximum checkouts as 5. I could always change it to just 2, or I can leave it at 5. Maximum holds. Also, this one right here is really important. The ceiling date. Mine is set for May the 9th, 2017. That's about 2.5 weeks before school is out, so that my students aren't able to check out any more books. We want to try to get as many of our books in for the summertime so that they're not lost. So the ceiling date is the last official date that students can check out books. Down here at the bottom, you see how it has the regular checkout limit, 5. Loan period is 14. Now this is where if students need, say, 21 days, 3 weeks, or they may need even more. So we could always go in here and put in 21 days. That way, whenever the books are out, they won't show up that they're overdue. And also, you can actually put in here, they can renew their books 0 times or 1 time, or as many times as you want them to. And so notice over here the fine increment. I don't charge my students for having overdue books. I just feel that if they are still reading them, that's great. But if not, they need to go ahead and turn them in. And we have a contest at the end of the year for who turns in their library books. They win posters for having clear list. All right, so after you do all the changing that you want, you can always just click on Save. I didn't make any changes, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel mine. And right now, I can see that it goes back to this page, and we are ready for assessment time. Here we go. Let me go back to the home page. And our first question, which tab at the top do I click on to change the time and date for extended loan periods for patrons? Okay, if you said back office, you are correct. All right, here we go. Let's see, after clicking on back office, what tab on the left over here do you click on so that you can change the dates? And that would be library policies. Very good. And our very last one, I have a challenging question for you. What is the ceiling date? If we go over to changing the student settings, we see we have the ceiling date. If you said it's the last date students can check out materials, you are correct. Very good. All right, now you know how to change the date and time for students that need extended loans for special projects. Now we are going to look at entering fines, reserves, and messages for patrons. You will click on the Circulation tab and then choose on the left-hand side, Patron Status. Okay, all right, after you bring this up, we're going to search for a student, and I'm going to search for just my Midland student that I've entered in. Click OK and go, and then here is his information. All right, notice that it doesn't have any books out. We have no holds, no fines, no notes, anything on him yet. So what we want to do is Mr. Midland has lost his book, so we want to add a fine to him. So we're going to click on down here where it says fines, add a fine. And the first thing you notice will be the reason why we are adding this fine. And we want to do the drop down, and Midland ended up losing his book. So let's go ahead and click on lost book. All right. And it has an amount here, or the waive if I want to, or how much that he would need to pay. And so now I know the book was Dork Diaries, and it was $17.25 is how much the book cost. All right, so I now can click on Save, and that will give us a fine of $17.25 for this lost book that Midland has checked out. Now, if I go back in under Edit Fines, you notice down here at the bottom it says that I can print a receipt, and if I just click on that, I can print a copy of this, because I want to be able to let Midland's mom know that he has lost a book and it's for $17.25. Once he has paid for that book, I'll go right in here and put paid. I can print another receipt, and I will just update it for him. All right, so let's go back to the patron status on the left hand side, and we want to scroll on down. Midland has found another book that he is just crazy about wanting to read. So he's asked for the book, and the book has already been checked out. So what I want to do, sorry about that, I want to go down to holds, and I want to click on add a hold. Okay, so we can search by title, author, keyword, barcode, but today we're just going to do by title. And I know the book he wants to read is The Iron Trials. All right, and then I'm going to click on go, and I see the books right here. We have one available, and then there's also one of 3 available. So that we can get it faster, let's just go ahead and do the one of 3. So we'll click on hold it, and we will have as soon as possible. Of course, we could reserve for a specific date, but we usually want to do as soon as possible. We can set an expiration date, and then we want it to go ahead for any copy. We don't need a specific one. And then we will just click save. And so now when this book is turned in by another student, it will give us an alert telling us that Midland wants to read it. Okay, all right, and then a little bit farther down, notes. So I can go in here and leave a note for myself and for Midland, so that the next time he logs in, he'll see it. So I want to click on add note, and someone has found his lost book. So I'm going to put in someone has found your lost book. And that way he will know he needs to come see me, and he will get his money back for the book that he's paid for. Display this note whenever the patron's information is accessed. So I want to go ahead and click that so that whenever he does log in, he's going to see it, and then whenever I do notice his information, it's going to show up for me as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save note. And as I scroll down, I notice here's the lost book, here's his hold that he had, and then someone has found your lost book for a note for him. All right, so let's do assessment time. Let me go ahead and hit reset and go to our home. And here's your first question. What do you click on after choosing the circulation tab to add a fine? Okay, it's a little tricky. You may see fines and think, oh, I go right here, but no, we click on patron status because we're actually looking for a particular patron, not just all the fines of the school. So if you answered patron status, you are correct. And now let's go ahead and put in our student, Midland. All right, and my last question for you, notice here it pops up, Midland has a ready hold, and here's his other flag, someone has found your lost book. Isn't that awesome? Now, I can actually go down and print out a copy of Midland's fine. Why would I need a copy of his fine? Okay, if you answered so that he can take it home and show his parents, you would be correct. All right, now you know how to enter fines, reserves, and messages for patrons. Okay, now for how to print bills, fines, and receipts. We want to first click on Reports, and then we are going to go over to the Patron Reports on the left-hand side. All right. And since we're looking mostly about our circulation, our current checkouts and fines is what we're going to look at first. All right, so when we click on that, this gives us a list of different reports that is offered underneath the Patron tab that you may want to run, and so that you can keep up with all your information. I want to run the report by overdues by first period teachers. And notice, see, I have this schedule that's going to run for me every Monday, and I get it in an email. So let's go ahead and just run this report. When I click on run, it will actually, I have to refresh a couple of times. It's in progress. Refresh, refresh. All right. And then I could click view. Now, this gives me by each first period teacher, and it gives me the information that my students are overdue. You know, so I have quite a few that we're trying to get back in. But if I go back to Patron Reports, I can go to my checkout and fines. I can actually go down, and I have a setting down here that I can actually see how I want to run this report. I want to check out, I want to show all checked out and overdue materials that are due from this date to this date. So basically I want to know what's due today or overdue by today. Unpaid library fines, unpaid textbook fines. So I can either check or uncheck any of these. I can have this report sent to me as a report in a PDF or in a Microsoft Excel, so I can distribute it that way. I can also have this report emailed to the homeroom teachers. This is a great way of just saving paper and sending oh, by the way, can you check with these students and see if they are, if they have these books in their lockers or in their, with them, so that we could go ahead and get them turned back in. But a lot of times I'll do notices. So I could click on notices. Notice that it has English, Spanish, or French. Most of my students are all, very few ESOL students here at Midland. So I want to go ahead and click on notices and continue. Now, right here you notice that it has, I can do active students, inactive, or restricted. Most of the time I just focus on active. Inactive may be some of the students that may have transferred to other schools that I need to send them a note saying, hey, you still owe this book back to me, which I would rather have the book than the money. I can select by patron types right here, graduating in whatever year. This year would be the year that I'm looking at. Also include patrons of other sites that have my materials. So again, this is where if a student has moved from Midland to another school, I can have them included on my list so that I can send an email saying you owe this money. We have materials right here for the most part. We want just the overnight regular. We can select all or clear. We'll just go ahead and say okay. We can include textbooks, but usually this time of year I leave off the textbooks because of the fact of we're really just wanting to get most of the library books, and they should have their textbooks checked out. Also include the materials my patrons have or the fines they owe that belong to other schools in the district. And this is very important because especially for the 8th grade students, if they have overdue materials when they go to register at the high school, this will prevent them from being able to register. And so they'll have to come all the way back over here to pay for the book. And so it's important that we go ahead and let them know that they have these books out. So I can then just click continue. And this gives me, I can sort by patron name. I can go ahead and do I want them sorted by grade level, homeroom, first period teacher. A lot of times we will go ahead and do first period teacher. And this gives me the choice of internally, where I just want to see a list of it. If I want to actually mail it in the U.S. Postal System, or if I just want to send an email. And so I can go ahead and let's just go ahead and that we're doing a email. I can put in right here the parent's email address. It's in Infinite Campus that we use. Destiny Administrator. I would probably change this to saying Media Specialist, because sometimes the parents go, I don't know what Destiny is. And that would just help them understand a little bit better. Down at the bottom, we can print 1 notice per page, or if I'm printing, I may want to do like 2 notices or 4 notices so I can save a little bit of paper. I can also, right here, I can make a customized message for the parent or the student. The following items are overdue. Please return them as soon as possible. And then since Destiny and Infinite Campus work together, I can actually click right here, address labeled to the parent or guardian of this student, and it will actually send me the student's parent's name for the address. Also, I can display the title information and the price of the book. Usually I would put the title and the price so that the parent, if they don't know where the book is and the child can't find it, they can go ahead and pay for it. Also, I could put a barcode on there, phone number, student grade level, homeroom, and however I want to sort it by. And then I could just click on Run Notices, and it will send me all of these notices, or it will send the emails. Now let's look at how to use temporary barcodes for periodicals. Most items should have a permanent record, especially if you want patrons to be able to find them with keyword searches. But every once in a while you want to be able to have barcodes that are just temporary, and that's for more or less titles that change frequently or have a short circulation period. I often use mine with our magazines or newspapers. You cannot change the temporary record to a permanent record, but it's very easy to go in and to use. When the item is checked back in, the temporary record is deleted unless it's designated to stay in the program. Now, I have students that come in, and when they're using it with the magazines, what I've done is I've actually printed out temporary barcodes that are then laminated on large envelopes, so that whenever we put a magazine in, we can close it up and it protects the magazine a little better. So let me just show you real quick where you would find the temporary barcodes. We're back on the home page. You would then go to Reports, and over under Reports on the left hand side you'd click on Library Reports. And we're going to use right here at Barcode List. Now it's really important, you notice where it says Show More. All of these, anytime that you're in Destiny, anytime you see a Show More, it's going to give you an information about what that report is. And so I know that we're going to use the Barcode List. And you can click on this, you want used barcode numbers or unused. And I always want, if I'm just going to use it as a temporary, we want to select unused barcode numbers. And then you can actually put in, you want it to start on this barcode number and go to this, but usually I would just put in the number of barcodes I want. Consecutive barcodes is a range. And then what it's going to do is it's going to select the next barcodes for me. And so I'll just click on I want to put in the last one that was ran, 259551, and then I can click on Run Report. And it's going to run all these unused barcodes for me so that I can actually print them out and use them either on a index card or I can use it on an envelope. This has helped out a lot with students who want to read the magazines, and instead of me trying to label a magazine and then the front torn off, we put it in the envelope, and it's usually protected a little better. So real quick, let's just do a real fast assessment. If you are wanting to run a temporary barcode, where would you find, after you click on reports, where would you go to find the reports or the barcodes that you could print out? If you said library reports, you're correct. And then after you select library reports, which one of the titles here in blue would you click on to print out temporary barcodes? And that would be your barcode list. There's also another section down here. You can create or replace barcodes here, barcode labels, but for this reasoning, we would want to do barcode list. All right. Now we will look up circulation logs. A circulation log is the circulation history for a particular item or circulation history for a certain patron. Let's start with a patron. So we're going to click on circulation. We're going to go down to patron status on the left side. And so that you can see a lot of amount, I'm going to use myself instead of my sample student we've been using. And then I'm just going to click on go. All right. And notice that it has my information here, but I want to click on view history. And it may take just a few seconds. And this is important so that you can keep up with what may be overdue and all the different that have been checked out under my name. And so I can go down, I see the checked out date, I see the due date, and then here are the ones when it was checked in. And I've got a couple overdue books. And so I can scroll on down. This report is actually printable. You can go in and click on print, and then that way I can go, okay, I need to find this book, this book, this book. This could be very helpful for a student to find out what the student has been reading over the last year, especially if the parent wants to know more information. So we could just print this out and have it for the parent. Okay, so let's look from, instead of the patron status, let's look at copy status. And I'm going to look up one of my books that I know gets checked out a lot. So I'm going to click on Dork Diaries. And then I'm going to click Go. And so I see right here we have, just in the last little bit, we have one that's due. These are multiple copies of the Dork Diaries. We see I have a couple that are available. So if a student is looking for a Dork Diary book, we have it right here. I can actually click on one of these titles, and I see this one right here is lost. So let's click on the Dork Diaries one that's lost. All right, so it says was checked out by this student. Fine was satisfied, so that means it was paid. But let's go ahead and look at the right over here on the right hand side. You can click on view history. Oh, this book, so this student lost the book. They were the first ones to check it out, and they were the first ones to lose it. So that's sort of sad. But we can actually go back up to our breadcrumbs and look at the copy status. And let's go back a little bit more. Let's look at one more of the Dork Diaries. Let's just go ahead and put in Dork Diary again. Click Go. And let's look at this one that's actually just right here. Let's go ahead and click View History. And so we can see now we have one that we can actually see how many people have read this book. And I see there's a few students that have been repeat. So they must really, really like this book. I can actually click on Printable and print this out and have it just for my records in case I need to know what I need to order more of. Well, I hope you have enjoyed and gotten a lot out of my video on circulation. If there's anything that we can help you with, please let us know. Have a great day.